So one last call for coloring contest, people? Nope? Okay. The clock on the wall is not accurate, so we're going to go by real time. And I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Richfield City Council meeting. It is October 22nd at 7 p.m. If you're able, please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the open forum. If you're watching from home, you can call into the open forum by dialing 1-415-655-0001. Use webinar access code 2864-077-5917 and password 1234. And it doesn't look like anybody has called in, is that correct? Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for the open forum? All right, so seeing that we have no one here, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the City Council meeting of October 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the council minutes for October 8th, 2024. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we, at this point, will consider them adopted. The next item on our agenda was the 19th Annual Great Pumpkin Giveaway Coloring Contest winner presentation. We had a great deal of participation and a stack probably about an inch high of entries. I'm not sure if any of the winners are able to be with us tonight, but we wanted to thank all of the sponsors that were part of the contest. So Steve Schneeberger and his real estate group, the Hintermeisters with Luminate Mortgage, Carl Herman with, I believe it's State Farm Insurance, the Recreation Department here at the city, the Richfield Leadership Network, and also Mike Karnas donated the trophies for us. So thank you to everyone that was involved. If they end up showing up later, we will give them to them. Otherwise, we can do it at our next meeting as well, and we'll just hold on to that. So we're going to move on to the Arts Commission presentation. And so I'm going to call forward the co-chairs, Eric Beganek and Stephanie Jacobson. So please come forward, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
And City Council, my name is Eric Beganek, co-chair of the Arts Commission.
I'm Stephanie Jacobson, co-chair of the Arts Commission.
Excellent. And we're just going to go through a summary of our 2024 activities on the Arts Commission. So this year, RAC focused on two main themes to sort of cover the spread of our activities. We had such a great experience at the Dual Languages School last year participating in one of their movie night events that we decided that it would be an initiative this year of the Arts Commission to do more things with more schools. Having done that, and also the senior arts show at the community center. So that was one of our main focal points, and we've always sort of been working with art in the community, and so art in our community was also one of our main themes. So starting off with art in our schools, as I mentioned, one of our first events of the year was the high school seniors art show, where we had seniors from the high school come to the community center, display their art, and we hosted an event for them to invite their friends and family to the art show. It was a little less attended this year. There were a few less artists, but it was another successful event again, and we look forward to working with the art teachers again next year. And then we had been approached by the Dual Language School again to participate with their carnival event. And since it was outdoors, we wanted to do something a little more hands-on and messy this time around. So we had the idea as a group to do a marble painting activity with the students. And they had a blast with it. I mean, as you could see in that wall picture at the very top, we taped up the paintings to dry on the wall, and I just think that wall has never looked that vibrant. It was so wonderful. The families had a great time, even with looming thunderstorms on the horizon. We had a lot of great fun bringing that arts experience to those kids. So much fun that Centennial heard about it, and so we ended up visiting their carnival in the same month. They had heard that we were working on the carnival with Dual Language School, and we brought more marble painting to the Centennial Cougar Carnival on May 23rd. One of the kids at these events gave us a great quote to include in tonight's meeting. It's like a fun little marble race. So that we collected a lot of quotes and just saw a lot of smiles in all the school activities that we ran. And then also, this all comes from how we're working with schools on movie nights and things like that as well with their parent organizations. And so we're going to be visiting STEM on October 25th, this Friday, for another movie night experience, which should be a lot of fun, bringing arts experiences to that environment.
We've got some more art in our schools that are currently in the works. We're looking to work with Sheridan Elementary School, either with their fun club or with their PTO. The Richfield Dual Language School, we'll work with them again this year. And then also we're looking for ways to connect with the middle school currently.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and with the Dual Language School dance event, they're interested in doing friendship bracelets and potentially some kind of glow art activity. So, because the theme is glow, so that'll be fun. Art in our community. So we kicked off the year with our Earth Day event, and Woodlake asked us, their staff asked us, if we might be interested in finding out how to make seed bombs or seed balls with the families this year at the Earth Day event, because that would be very earth conscious of us, and it would be a cool way to combine Woodlake's activities with the Arts Commission activities. So we researched it, and we found a way to combine some Minnesota natural organic seeds from a local company, along with some mud essentially and clay that we purchased from another company. And we were able to make seed bombs that kids could then throw in certain areas in the park because they're local wildflowers, or bring home to their gardens to throw in there. We also visited the farmers markets. We did seed bombs once again because Bonnie over with Parks and Rec was interested in that and thought that might be a good connect at the farmers market too. And once again, we had plenty of marble painting activities left in our arsenal, so we brought those. And then in August, we did another vegetable stamping activity because that was super popular last year. That picture that someone drew of a human in the middle amongst all the vegetable stampings was one of our favorites. So we put that up in the presentation. And then Unity in the Community, we teamed up. Since kids were getting backpacks, we decided as a commission that we would help them make backpack keychains with pipe cleaners and letter beads and color beads, which of course many of the kids said, oh, let's make Swiftie bracelets. So people were also making their names on bracelets and things like that. So it was a lot of fun.
We also did a lot of fun art in our community events this year. We were at Penn Fest in September doing coloring sheets and some temporary tattoos. We did the Great Pumpkin Giveaway coloring contest. We assisted with that. We've got an authors event coming up in November, and then we will assist with winter planters again for the winter market around November and December.
All right, ongoing activities. We still have our Pride Roundabout that we maintain, and we were able to put fresh rounds of orange and yellow paint finally this late summer and fall on the roundabout. All of our days earlier in the year were rained out because of all the rain we were getting, and so we'd have to wait till another month to schedule some time. So we just had some bad luck with that, but we finally did get those fresh paint for yellow and orange on there. We've also got our little free library, and we had a book drive this year where we were trying to get a lot of books that weren't just in English to put in the little free library, doing a book drive at Woodlake Nature Center and the community center, which was great. And then we started, I think we're one of the first commissions to use a SharePoint drive now, where we're housing pictures of all the art around town, and we're starting to revamp our brochure so that we can make an updated art walk brochure of all the sculptures in town online instead of a paper version, and we hope to have that in English and Spanish. And then the public art displays, in addition to the sculptures around town, doing public art displays in City Hall, kind of helping Parks and Rec maintain that, as well as the community center.
And last but not least, an adorable picture that a child drew at PennFest. We had some coloring sheets and asked kids and their grown-ups to draw a picture of what they like most about PennFest, or what they're excited about at PennFest, what PennFest means to them, and that's one of the pictures that was drawn.
And then just a shout out to our other commission members listed on the screen, as well as our liaisons from City Council, Community Services Liaison, and our staff, Jill Murphy from Parks and Rec.
Thank you so much. It's always fun to watch or see your presentation because you guys are so busy and we run into you in the community all the time. Did anybody want to add anything? I know Councilmember Christensen has been the liaison.
Yeah, I've been in the liaison for the last couple of years for this great commission, and it's really fun because you get out and you just not only see the community as a whole, you know, just as a community, but you see the beauty that this commission provides kids and how they're learning as they're growing, and their parents, and it's a really awesome, fun group to be involved in. So, yep.
All right, Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo those thank yous and just say for everybody listening how much better art makes our city. And it's great to I almost honestly feel a little overwhelmed, all the things that you're doing, and so it adds a lot. Our public works director here is also been a partner with art that now lives on our sidewalks, and I'm so glad to hear that you're cataloging the art. Somebody grew up here. We have more art now than we did a generation ago, and I love walking down Lindale and seeing Don Quixote and Sancho Panza there. It's just like it matters, and so thank you.
The other thing I noticed is that you're keeping everything current. You talked about refreshing the roundabout, but also I noticed at Richfield Lake that we had different poems than were there originally, so.
Yes, that's
really
true.
cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And just a shout out to community members. Like if there is anyone in the community who wants to come bring ideas to the Arts Commission, please do so. We love community ideas and they help feed what we do. Thank you.
Following that, there are commission applications open right now during the month of October. So if you want to join the Arts Commission or any of the other commissions, we're about to hear from the Planning Commission. That's another one that's going to have some openings. So I'm going to call at this time the Secretary of the Planning Commission, Brett Stursa, up to give to the report.
Thank you, Mayor Seppel and Council. Eddie Holmvig Johnson is celebrating his dad's 75th birthday tonight, so I am his stand-in for the evening. The Planning Commission was busy this year, even though development applications have not yet picked up. In 2024, we held a public hearing to consider a request for 2 variances from side code requirements at 636 66th Street or Veterans Memorial Park. We held a public hearing to consider a request for an amended planned unit development for a time extension of an amendment to the construction agreement for a multi-story parking ramp at 1401 77th Street East, which was the Audi dealership. We considered a resolution finding the acquisition and disposition of 6525 Penn Avenue South by the Housing and Redevelopment Authority for multifamily housing as consistent with the Richfield's comprehensive plan. We considered a resolution finding the acquisition of 1620 78th Street East by the HRA as consistent with the Richfield Comprehensive Plan. We held a public hearing to consider a request by Partnership Academy for an amended plan unit development and final plan development conditional use permit for a time extension to an amendment of the parking agreement at 6500 Nicollet Avenue South. We held a public hearing to consider an ordinance amendment adjusting parking requirements. We held a public hearing to consider a request for a conditional use permit and variances for Stall 1 Auto at 7524 Lindale Avenue South. We considered the 2026-29 capital improvement plan or program, and a finding of consistency with the comprehensive plan of the capital improvement program and the 2025 capital improvement budget. We held a public hearing to consider a request by Brixmor for a conditional use permit and an amended plan unit development, final plan development for a retail use over 50,000 square feet of gross floor area at 140 West 66th Street in order to re-tenant the former Rainbow Foods building to a new grocer, Loma Bonita. And we held a public hearing to consider an ordinance amendment regulating cannabis businesses. We also participated in 5 work sessions for topics including parking, Penn Central, MICC, cannabis, and Market Plaza. So that's what the commission has been up to, and I'm happy to answer or try to answer any questions that the council might have.
Thank you so much. I've had the pleasure of being the liaison to the Planning Commission, and it's always great to sit in the audience and hear the thoughtful conversations, because you're often the first public body that gets to have the public hearings and all these things, and then it gets passed on to the HRA or to the City Council. And so it's always, I just am really impressed by the thoughtful deliberation. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions, comments? Councilmember Hayford-Leary?
Yeah, I just want to say I really enjoyed our work sessions with the Planning Commission. There have been more of those in the last year, and it's been nice. And I think you've pushed us in good ways, particularly on parking, on cannabis. Yeah, the fruits of that is coming forward tonight as we consider our final reading for the cannabis ordinance. But I just really appreciated you know, not just nodding and agreeing, but actively challenging and pushing us. It's very helpful.
Great.
All right, any other comments or questions? Thank you so much, and thank you to the entire commission.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I'll move approval of the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have approved the agenda. We'll move on next to the consent calendar, and I'll turn it over to City Manager Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the City Council in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further council action on these items is necessary. On tonight's consent calendar, item A, consider awarding American Rescue Plan Act funding to nonprofit organizations to provide services and activities that aid in the recovery of Richfield community members negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Item B, consider adoption of a resolution designating the city's contribution towards health, dental, term life, disability insurance premiums for 2025. And just a note on item B, we did catch some mistakes in both the staff report and the resolution, and so those were replaced online today. Item C, consider a request to authorize the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry to assume the responsibilities for electrical inspections in the city of Richfield. Item D, consider approval of a construction and maintenance agreement with Raya Apartments LLC, Cedar Point Investments LLC, and the RF64 Homeowners Association that defines ownership and maintenance responsibilities for certain features constructed within the 6300 and 6400 blocks between 16th Avenue South and Richfield Parkway. And I submit these items for your consideration on tonight's consent calendar.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I would move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Hayford-Leary?
I do have a question on one of the items, but just to clarify what's going on to anybody watching, the network issue is loading our PDF of the agenda, which is why there's some troubleshooting by staff, so we're grateful for that. My question was about the electrical inspections. I'm just wondering, is that like a permanent change? Is it possible that in 5 or 10 years we would reverse that and go back? And then seeing our community development director, who I assume will know, how is the process different for homeowners in actually getting their inspections ordered?
Yes, thank you for those questions, Councilmember Hayford O'Leary, members of the council. It is not a decision that we could not go back from. We could work with the state to have the delegation returned to the city. There would be a resolution similar to this. I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon. There's a real difficulty in hiring electrical inspectors, particularly because Richfield doesn't quite have the volume of electrical inspections to hire a full-time electrical inspector. We would not be able to break even on that. So I don't anticipate that, but it is certainly possible. And then how will it differ for our customers? They will call and schedule inspections for electrical work directly with the state. So if this item is approved tonight, starting tomorrow, we will have an indication on our website that says as of the date, November 1st, you should instead call the state number to schedule your inspections. We'll be working with people that have open permits to close those out through the end of the year. After that, you would need to apply for a new permit and go through the state directly. So we're working to communicate that. The message is really already out. I think the electrical inspectors in the area are aware. So we don't anticipate too many problems with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
I just wanted to, while our community development director is still here, wanted to say thank you for the work on the RF64 and RIA agreement. I know that initially, maybe about a year ago, I'd been hearing from a lot of residents and some of the management there, some confusion, and I believe much of that has been resolved, and I haven't heard from residents at all recently. But just wanted to say thank you for staff for working on that, and then to any residents there listening, please do reach out if there's any confusion. But now that it's all complete, I think it looks great and is good to see folks moving in and part of the community. So thanks for your work on that.
And Councilmember Whalen, just to clarify, absolutely, community development staff has helped work out some of those individual issues with homeowners, and we're happy to continue to do so. Although I agree, I think things have settled down. The maintenance agreement related to utilities and things like that, I can't take the credit for that. That was Joe Powers, and he has really worked tirelessly to get this agreement in place. It has been a lot of work. So that thanks goes to Joe.
I would like to add thanks for the stewardship for the American Recovery Plan funds. I know Julie Urban and some of the others work together to get those extra social services dollars out there, and that's truly appreciated. And also I wanted to say thank you to our Human Resources Department for negotiating all this insurance and figuring out how that all works. So thank you. Is there any other comments or questions? All right, all in favor of approving the consent calendar, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Consent calendar has been passed. Next, we're moving on to consideration of a second reading of an ordinance amendment establishing zoning regulations for cannabis businesses. I'm going to turn that over to Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
Thank you. Last year, the state legislature legalized adult use cannabis, established the Office of Cannabis Management, and laid the groundwork for what will be a highly regulated new industry. Local authorities have until the end of this year to establish local regulations governing cannabis businesses. City of Richfield's regulations will be adopted in two separate ordinances: zoning regulations and registration regulations. The proposed zoning ordinance generally divides the new type of cannabis businesses into two main categories: retail businesses and non-retail businesses. Retail businesses, which now include medical marijuana sales, would be allowed in certain commercial districts as permitted uses, subject to distance separations from schools, parks, treatment facilities, and each other. The non-retail businesses would be allowed as a conditional use in the industrial district. The remaining cannabis businesses that do not neatly fit into either of those categories are addressed as follows. Cannabis delivery businesses are allowed as an accessory to a cannabis retail business. Cannabis event organizer is allowed as an office use. And cannabis transporter is not included due to the city not allowing any other transportation or distribution businesses in the city. Cannabis regulations further address home occupations and signage. The proposed ordinance also includes a few minor modifications regarding micro-production facilities. Issues such as registration fees, the maximum number of retail locations, hours of operation, and low-potency hemp edibles will be addressed by the registration ordinance. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on September 23rd. No one commented on the item, and the Planning Commission recommended approval of the ordinance as presented. Any questions or comments before I make a motion? I'll make a couple comments, but I'll move it first. I move that we approve a second reading of an ordinance amendment establishing zoning regulations for cannabis businesses and approve a resolution authorizing summary publication of said ordinance.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Hafer O'Leary?
Yeah, I will just say I'm really happy with where we landed on this. I think, you know, hindsight being 2020, we maybe were overly restrictive with medical cannabis. I think this represents a really balanced approach. I'm really happy with what we come up with together. This shouldn't be a shameful use. I'm glad that this is legal, and I'm glad that we are judiciously and cautiously embracing it in our city. So I think this is a reasonable thing that fits our context well, and I'm glad that we're providing a decent number of options to businesses that want to start selling in Ridgefield.
I also was pleased that we had input from community members, from the Planning Commission, and also from the Ridgefield Public Schools as we were going through the process to consider all of this. So that feedback is important. Any other comments or questions? All right, we have the motion before us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we have passed this zoning ordinance. Now, as a FYI, this is part one of two ordinances. When can we expect the second ordinance about regulations to come forward?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So I said this was part one of two ordinances, and we have one that's going to be coming forward on regulations. When could people in the audience that are interested in this subject be expecting that to come up on the agenda?
Mayor and Council, I can address that. I'm currently working with staff on the registration ordinance, which is a requirement for businesses who want to set up shop in the city. They will be required to register with the city and go through some procedures. So we plan to have first reading of that ordinance for the first meeting in November.
And if people have questions about that, which department should they be contacting in the city?
Those can go through Support Services Jennifer Anderson.
All right, thank you, that's helpful. All right, we'll move on then to item number 8, and I'll turn that over to Councilmember Whalen.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is to consider the second reading of an ordinance amending City Code Section 427, wetland protection, to add new buffer requirements compliant with the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District, wetland protection rule, and clarify the decision-making and appeals process for Wetland Conservation Act decisions, and approval of a resolution authorizing summary publication. In April of 2024, the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District adopted new rules applicable to wetland protection, and these revisions align city ordinances with the new district wetland buffer requirements. Does staff have anything to add? No. Okay. Then I would make a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance amending City Code Section 427, wetland protection, to add new buffer requirements compliant with the wetland protection rule and clarify the decision-making and appeals process for Wetland Conservation Act decisions, as well as a resolution authorizing summary publication.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion? I want to throw out a thank you there. I know that the Water Department and Public Works have been very busy with this and with wellhead protection and a number of other things. So thank you to our Water Resources Engineer Odson and the entire department. So we appreciate it. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have approved that ordinance. Next, we'll move on to item number 9. Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 9 is to consider a second reading of an ordinance amending City Code Sections 428, 429, and 620 pertaining to erosion and sedimentation control, water resource management, and well drilling, and approval of a resolution authorizing summary publication. Staff has conducted a review of several water resource-related ordinances to evaluate the need for updates. The proposed changes include updating external references, allowing the city engineer and public works director to delegate administration of sections 428 and 429, removing a redundant section in 429.07, incorporating the provisions of the municipal state storm sewer MS4 permit, and replacing section 620 in its entirety with a reference to the appropriate state regulations. And so before we put it to a vote, does staff have anything to add?
No, Councilmember. Nothing to add.
Thank you. Then I would move we approve the second reading of an ordinance amending the city code sections 428, 429, and 620 pertaining to erosion and sedimentation control, water resource management, and well drilling, and approve a resolution authorizing summary publication.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further comments? All right, as I said, this is very complex because it goes across several different jurisdictions and watershed groups and all kinds of things, so we appreciate this. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have approved this. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. My only announcement is I just wanted to introduce our new administrative assistant, Mark McKinley. You've been getting lots of emails from him. He has hit the ground running, both with this agenda, which we had a lot of changes, and then also 600 voters, 605 voters, 601 voters for the last 3 days. So he helps in exec department and then also helps in the city clerk's department. So welcome, Mark. And that's it tonight.
All right, then we will move on to claims and payroll.
Move approval of claims and payroll.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve claims and payroll. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have approved claims and payroll. Moving on to hats off to hometown hits. We'll mix things up again tonight and go to Councilmember Christensen.
Thank you, Mayor. What I want to say coming up actually this weekend is the last outdoor farmers market. And from that point on, it will be indoors, but from this week, for this Saturday at least, it will be from 8 a.m. till noon, with still a lot of vendors there with a lot of their products and a lot of fun stuff to do.
Thank you. Councilmember Whalen.
Thank you, Mayor. There's been several Halloween-themed events this month to lift up. The pumpkin giveaway was already mentioned, had the excitement of going to the local trunk or treat event at the corner of 66th and Portland, blanking on the name right now, but that was lovely. My 2-year-old who went dressed as a penguin and was very cute, just had a blast, got more candy than he will ever be allowed to eat. So thank you to the many, many local organizations, obviously the ones who hosted, but many also who just came to have their little booth and give out candy and have some fun with the community. And then, of course, you know me, I will mention voting again, that this is the last time we have a council meeting before Election Day. So there are 2 weeks left to vote. You can early vote here at City Hall if you're a Richfield resident. I early voted myself in the last week. It's very straightforward and easy and secure. You can trust the process. Or, of course, you have the option for Election Day as well. But make sure to make your own plan to vote. And my challenge to anyone listening would be to think of 5 other people in your life to talk to and make sure they have a plan to vote.
Thank you. Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
I would say I've had the pleasure of joining seniors both last week and this week with our County Commissioner Gotel at Main Street Village and Lakeshore Drive condos. And to Councilmember Whalen's point, the commissioner asked those in the audience who had voted already, and like 90% of the people in the room raised their hands. So it is great to see that people are getting their votes in early, and thanks to the city for facilitating that, because I imagine they were the customers here in City Hall.
Thank you. Councilmember Troutman. Thank you. I'm going to do some shameless promotion of our commission openings. There are both youth and adult commission openings, and anytime during the month of October, you can go to the city webpage and look up under commissions, and we'll take applications through October 31st. It is a fun and great job, and that's how a lot of us got involved with the city, and so I would encourage you to apply as well. Also, as part of like the civics requirements for both the boys and the Girl Scouts, they have like democracy badges and things, and we've had 2 troops come through already, and the 3rd one is coming through on Thursday, so I'm going to do a hats off to all the scouts out there that are involved in finding out about how local government works and how the election process works. So hats off to them. With that, if there is no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We stand adjourned.